Ever wonder how the most successful companies really build their strategy? It can seem so complicated, right? Well, it turns out there's a process, a series of initial steps they all follow. And today, we're going to break that down for you into a super clear 4-part guide. All right, before we get into the how, let's tackle a big question right up front. You hear this a lot, right? That in today's crazy, fast-paced world, all this formal strategic planning stuff is, well, just a waste of time. It's too slow, too rigid. So is that true? Is it even worth the effort anymore? Let's take a look at what the numbers tell us. Well, the data is pretty shocking, actually. The answer is a resounding yes. A huge survey found that a whopping 88% of companies still use a formal strategic planning process. And get this, it's still the favorite, the #1 management tool for senior executives. So that begs the question, if all the top performers are doing it, what's their secret? What do they know? It all boils down to a really disciplined process, and we're going to walk through it together step by step. First, you've got to build that solid foundation. Then, you need to light a fire and create the why, the urgency for change. After that, it's all about mapping the terrain around you. And finally, you pull it all together into one clear picture. Let's do it. Okay, section 1, the foundation. Look, it's simple. You can't figure out where you're going if you don't know who you are right now. It's absolutely crucial. And this foundation, it really stands on 3 key pillars: your mission, your values, and your vision. So let's start with the mission statement. And I gotta be clear here, this is not some flufful marketing slogan you stick on a wall. Nope. This is your fundamental why. It's the core reason your organization even exists. It's all about the purpose you serve for your customers and for the world, way beyond just the products you sell. Google's mission is a perfect example of this. Think about it. Organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. It doesn't say a thing about search engines or selling ads, does it? It's a massive, ambitious goal that clearly defines the value they want to provide. It acts like a North Star for pretty much every decision they make. All right, next up are your values. These are your non-negotiables. They are the core principles that guide how everyone in the company behaves and makes decisions. You can think of them like an internal compass for the whole organization. They set the tone for the company's character, all the way from the top down to the very last person hired. And that brings us to the 3rd pillar, the vision statement. Here's a simple way to think about it. If your mission is who you are today, your vision is who you want to become. It's that big, exciting destination you're aiming for, usually somewhere like 3 to 10 years down the road. It's the painting of what success looks like. And honestly, you can't talk about vision statements without talking about this one. It might just be the most powerful one ever. What makes JFK's moonshot so brilliant? It's not just the sheer audacity of it. It's how it combines that huge, almost impossible goal with a really concrete, measurable outcome: return him safely, and a hard deadline before the end of the decade. I mean, wow, that's a whole strategy in a single sentence. Okay, so you've got your foundation. But just having a great vision, that's not enough to get people moving. Let's be real. People don't love change. So the next step is absolutely critical. You have to make the case for why this change needs to happen now. It's all about creating a powerful sense of urgency. And the go-to tool for this is something called the Strategic Change Agenda. It's so simple, but so powerful. All it does is create this from-to comparison. You lay out, side by side, here's where we are today, and here's where we need to be tomorrow. When you do that, the gap between the two becomes impossible to ignore. It makes the need for change crystal clear. And here you can see just how impactful this can be in the real world. Let's look at the FBI's agenda right after 9/11. In the from column, you see things like domestic, case-driven, reactive. That's how they used to operate. Now look at the to column: global, threat-driven, proactive. You see that? In one simple chart, they communicated a massive top-to-bottom transformation to every single agent. It basically said, our survival depends on making this shift. All right, so you've got your foundation and you created that why, that urgency to get going. What's next? Well, now it's time to actually draw the map. And that means you have to do a deep, brutally honest analysis of 2 things: the world outside your organization and the reality inside it. When you're looking outside, a really popular tool is the PESTEL analysis. It gives you a structured way to look at the big picture. Political, economic, social factors, and so on. But here's the thing. Today, this is so much more than just reading industry reports. Smart companies are using things like AI and predictive analytics to model economic changes, to track social trends as they happen, and even to forecast the next big tech disruption. This is how you spot those game-changing opportunities or threats before anyone else. But, looking outside is only half the battle. You also have to take a really hard look in the mirror with a rigorous internal analysis. And this is another place where modern data tools are just complete game changers. I'm talking about business intelligence dashboards that show you exactly where you're falling short, or even deep learning models that can pinpoint which of your processes are actually creating value for customers. Getting this honest self-assessment right is absolutely crucial. Okay, this brings us to the final step of this whole analysis phase, synthesis. You've just collected a mountain of data from your internal and external scans. The job now is to boil it all down, to distill everything into one single coherent picture that everyone in the organization can easily grasp. And the classic go-to tool for this? Of course, it's the SWOT analysis. You've probably seen this before. It's so simple, but it's incredibly effective. It just forces you to organize everything you've learned into 4 simple boxes: your internal strengths and weaknesses, and your external opportunities and threats. And this is a fantastic real-world example of how it all comes together. This is a SWOT for Nemours, a children's health system. Just look at how specific this is. Under strengths, you've got AAA credit rating. Awesome. But then you look at weaknesses and you see slowdown in managed care, declining state revenue. This one page puts everything on the table. It forces leadership to confront the entire reality, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all at once. It's the ultimate strategic snapshot. So let's just quickly recap the journey we've been on. First, the foundation. Then, creating urgency. Then, the deep analysis. And finally, the synthesis. This 4-step process, this is the essential groundwork. It's all the rigorous homework you absolutely have to do before you can even think about the creative part of picking a strategy. It gives you the map you need to navigate. And that brings this whole analysis phase to a close. And it leaves every single leader at the exact same critical point. The map is complete. You have the full picture right in front of you: your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. You understand the entire terrain. So, the only question left is, what's your first move?